July 23rd of 2025 marks 50 years ago that I was classified by Larry Shaw of NSA. I helped found and plan SGI, and I am the original president, but my genetic father, Daisaku Ikeda, was the SGI president nominated on Guam in 1975 after I had done all the work behind the scenes. And so I'm the other SGI president, but Daisaku Ikeda died in 2023. Here we are in 2025. The date of 7/23, July 23. My classification date. It's approaching. And what do you know? Brian Koberger has a hearing, a sentencing hearing, right? He had he pled guilty to all the charges in a hearing on July 2nd, which is Ron Goldman's birthday, and I released my book on my pre-order for, the second edition pre-order on that day, and created my first video in a long time on that same day. I mean, at least published it. I recorded it on the day he signed the plea deal. It just so happens. And yeah, let's see what happens on July 23rd. July 23rd of 2025 marks 50 years ago that I was classified by Larry Shaw of NSA, Nature and Social of America, but also National Security Agency, I guess. He doubled for both agencies, organizations, whatever. That was, Nature and Social of America was the old name of SGI, which is Soko Gakkai International, when it was still united with Nature and Social. Now there's Soko Gakkai International. I helped found and plan SGI, and I am the original president, but my genetic father, Daisaku Ikeda, was the SGI president nominated on Guam in 1975 after I had done all the work behind the scenes. And so I'm the other SGI president, but Daisaku Ikeda died in 2023, and I'm the only living SGI president, but the SGI chooses to ignore my life and my existence and pretends that SGI President Ikeda, or Ikeda Sensei as he insisted on being called towards the end of his life, they insist on following him and acting like he's still alive, even though he died back in 2023. And yeah, he is eternally alive in our hearts forever, and his writings and live on forever. Everything, his presence, everything. But he's no longer alive, and I am, and I'm the legal owner of Soko Gakkai in Japan. So before long, they're going to have to face the music and the truth. And I don't know, maybe we'll see what happens on July 23rd. I have a lot of money that's mine that, in the, Michael Jackson, I was the next of kin for Michael Jackson. And because I'm top secret, they made it Catherine. The public will named Catherine, their grandmother. But, it was supposed to be me. And I'm sure my people behind the scenes have everything rigged financially. But yeah, I can't even imagine if I had all the attention that the Jackson children have. I think BG is very smart to stay out of the public eye and remain private, excuse me. I think that's very smart. He's very sensitive, and that means he's very intelligent. Sensitivity is a form of intelligence, and he knows to protect himself. That it's very damaging to be overexposed when you're a young person maturing into an adult. And I fear that Paris has sacrificed a lot for all her fame and fortune and exposure. Prince, the oldest, seems a little too well adjusted. It does concern that, in that way. That's what concerns me about him. is that he seems a little too well adjusted. Like, it's like he has like a facade. Everything's so perfect, and I worry about what's going on behind the scenes that we don't see. I'm glad he got his college degree. He seems very focused, and I'm really proud of him. Each one of you children are so special in your own way. But I do worry about how perfect Prince is on the surface, because that usually means stuff is going on behind the scenes. And boys, I hope the Jackson family haven't taught you to live a double life, and boys are very vulnerable to sexual manipulation. I hope you know that it's not okay to be in a committed relationship and have a double life, doing what you see everybody else do in the Jackson family and in those connections. I hope Paris understands it's not normal to be, I'm glad she's clean and sober. It's not normal to be doing substances and partying and living life like that. That is not healthy. That is not normal. And being casual with your intimacy is not normal. You need to have boundaries, especially when you're a young, beautiful woman like you, Paris. And I just really hope that you haven't allowed men, the Jackson family, whatever, to compromise you and make you feel like this is the way everybody is and this is the way it's done. And I really hope you haven't compromised yourself by being too casual with intimacy to fit in, and because that's not normal behavior. I know that there are a lot of celebrities who get like that, and I don't think it's healthy. That's why so many celebrities have trouble and aren't healthy and struggle. And I think it's a real challenge to be. Now that I'm older, I see. When I was younger, and even now, I still want to be in the public eye. But believe me, once I'm in the public eye, whenever the hell that happens, I think that I will be very protective of myself and need a separation from the public a lot of the time in order to remain healthy and feel good and protect my family. I want so much to be in the public eye today so I can be myself and get credit. Just, as a human being, when you've lived your whole life giving, it's just nice to receive acknowledgement. That's all I want. I think that once I get attention, I think that finally, for even a part of what I've done and achieved, I think I'll be kind of embarrassed of all the attention and want to kind of hide away from it and only come out sometimes. I am very private. I don't realize how private I am until it happens to me, and I see how much privacy I've lost with being in the public eye. I know I'm going to miss these days I've suffered through. I'm 59 years old, going on 60. And I don't know if you can imagine, Paris and Prince and BG, if you can imagine not existing, not having a public standing. Can you imagine that for almost the first 60 years of your life? You can't even imagine it. You've always been in the public eye for your, a lot of your childhood. You wore masks, so nobody recognized you. So you had a little of that. And so you understand, like, there was a time when you could walk down the street and nobody knew who you were, right? But didn't you long for everybody to know who you were? And then when finally, when your father died and you finally were able to take the masks off. You didn't take them off before he died, right? It took him dying for you to take off your masks, and you got all this attention and support and it really helped, right, in a certain way. But it was probably pretty addictive. And now and that was in 2009, 16 years ago, right? And you can't even imagine like walking down the street and nobody knows who you are. I mean, maybe occasionally people don't know who you are because, I don't know, Paris, you could look like, I mean, all of you, well, I think that BG might be the most, probably a little, he probably stands out a little more than you other two. Paris, you're a very pretty girl. But there are a lot of really pretty girls that look like models, right? And so I don't think you stand out as much as maybe BG. BG is very distinctive in appearance. I'm thinking about Prince. He's, you know, he looks like a lot of guys, right? I don't think he's as distinctive in appearance. So maybe you blend in sometimes and people don't recognize you, right? If you're not in LA or somewhere, you're just walking around somewhere else, people don't always recognize you, right? Can you imagine if your whole life, you're never recognized, nobody ever knows who you are. By the time you reach 60, it's gonna, it would be a suffering probably. I don't know, maybe. I'm thinking it might be. I mean, it is for me, because everybody else takes credit for all my work. See, that's what makes it such a suffering, that I'm stripped of my identity and everybody else gets to take credit, including Debbie Rowe, which is really annoying.